Hello, and welcome to another edition of One Bad Veggies Root Beer Review, where in this review, we find out whether or not Sioux City is Sioux good. So yeah, this review is another re-review. It's Sioux City Root Beer, which is a pretty popular, not craft root beer. Let's just say craft root beer. That's probably the easiest way to explain it. Yeah, Sioux City. I've seen it on shelves at places before, so it's not something you have to find at a specialty store or anything like that. So yeah, let's go ahead and just kind of dip into the ingredients and let's get going. Let's do this. Let's sue this. I was about to say sue the ingredient. I can't do it again. I can't keep making the same joke. Sue the ingredient should be appearing right there, and you can see. Speaking of jokes that I can't continuously make over and over again, I'm not going to make the joke about this ingredient list because, you already know what I'm going to say. It's very common ingredients. But what makes it special is the natural and artificial flavors that we don't know what they are, but they make everything unique and special. Anyway, let's take a look at the bottle. This one, as you can see, is kind of a stout boy here. It's not it's not a big tall bottle. It's more of a kind of like on the fatter end of things. Now, I remember the Sioux City bottle looking much different. They have changed their logo, I feel like, at least 3 times, even since I started the blog back in 2014. Like, they are always reinventing themselves. Nothing particularly fancy about this one. It says made with pure cane sugar, Sioux City. So let me see, is there any like history or anything on the bottle? No, nothing like that. This is just very simple. But like I said, they're kind of like a bigger brand as it is. So bigger brand in the craft root beer world, I guess you would say. So yeah, I'm not surprised that the label is very indistinct. Yeah, there was a picture of a cowboy on it, but I think probably 50% of all root beers have a cowboy on them. I don't know. There's something about the Old West and root beer for some reason that I don't understand. I guess sarsaparilla was more of like an Old West drink, and root beer really is kind of like the thing that replaced sarsaparilla, but I don't know. Whatever, man. Let's go ahead and open it up and get ourselves a sniff. All right, let's go ahead and crack this open and see. Oh, there we go. Nice little snap. Let's get ourselves a hint. Oh, it bubbled up a little bit even. That's nice. Nice and fizzy. All right. So it's as far as the scent goes, it's on the sweeter end of things. Not particularly noticing anything. I do notice a little bit of a spicy licorice kind of on the back end of it. Mostly sweet on the front end. No vanillas or any kind of like, I don't know what you'd say, like fruity flavors or anything like that on the front. It smells, I don't mean this as an insult, of course, but it smells pretty tame. It's not, I'm not smelling anything that's particularly bad or good. Just root beer. Smells like root beer. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into the pour and the foam. Trusty mug. Sioux City root beer. Let's do this. Nice and frothy. Nice. Notice I don't have any coasters. I need to get new coasters. But let's go ahead and get this foam because it's lasting. It's lasting, baby. Let's get a taste of this foam. Kind of bitter. It's kind of bitter, which like I've said before, a lot of times when you have a root beer and it's not, there's no special flavors or anything like that in it. It tends to be, you end up kind of with a bitter kind of tasting foam, because I feel like a lot of like the extra flavors and stuff like that in a specialized root beer are the things that become more apparent in the foam. Otherwise, you just kind of get like a weird kind of bitter foam. It's not particularly good or bad. It's not it's standard enough that like I'm not gonna judge it by its foam, and I never judge any of these root beers by the flavor of the foam. It's just always something interesting to taste because like I said, in most cases where you have a pretty plain root beer flavor from the root beer itself, it ends up being like I said, just kind of like a bitter foam. So which means I think that means that we should taste it and see if it's any good at all. All right, kids, bottoms up. So a little bit of disclosure on this one. I went back and I read my original review for this one. I gave it an F. Here's the thing. You never know. Sometimes you get a bad bottle, right? You never know. This is I definitely don't think it's an F. I don't know if I've even given any Fs since I've started doing the video reviews. I know I've given really not a lot of Ds either. Maybe I'm just growing warmer in my old age. This is fine. You know what? Let's not talk about how I feel about it yet. Let's talk about the flavor. The flavor is almost exactly what I expected. Like I said, I expected it to be very standard, sweet kind of root beer. There is definitely it is definitely sweet. I do feel like there is more of a spice kind of kick to it, especially on the back end. I noticed a lot of those rooty flavors in the background, which sometimes you don't really notice those in root beer. Sometimes it's just like the sweetness is so overwhelming. I think in the past I was more critical of that sort of flavor because it wasn't necessarily what I was looking for in root beers. It's not like it's this, and this isn't like the anise flavor that I complain about sometimes. This is like I said rooty, and like that is kind of it's almost kind of like a fruity planty sort of flavor in the background. It's not bad anyway. It's actually nice to taste something besides kind of like just the plain kind of root beer flavor, which is really all I was expecting from this one. So there's not a whole lot more to say about that, and me even talking about that flavor specifically was kind of reaching a little bit, just because like it is pretty standard. It just had this one little thing that I could point to be like, okay, this is something to make it a little different. But otherwise, it's root beer. It's a good craft root beer. So let's go ahead and get into our letter grade. So I kind of gave away a little bit of what I was going to give this one. I mean, just in the description of the flavors and stuff like that. Like I said, in the past, I gave it an F. And even after reading the review, the stuff that I said in that review, I just don't agree with at this point. I said it wasn't sweet at all. I said it had a funny aftertaste. It doesn't have a funny aftertaste, and it's plenty sweet. I don't know if maybe they've changed it in their recipe in the last 10 years, which is 100% possible. I mean, they totally could have. But otherwise, it's a C, you know? I feel like I've given out a lot of C's lately, and I feel like that's what's going to happen when you're reviewing root beers. Like, how many are really going to knock your socks off, and how many are going to, go also be disgusting. Most root beer is going to try to taste like root beer. And anything that I give a C is something that I would almost unequivocally say that it just tastes like root beer, a good root beer. Because one thing I do want to say is that when I do these reviews, I'm always trying craft root beers. I'm always, or at least I'm trying bottled versions of stuff that you can get off the shelf. But you know, in my experience, usually bottled soda, glass bottled soda, I should be specific, is usually it just tastes better. It just tastes better. That's one of the main reasons why I only review root beers that are in glass bottles, because I know that especially in those cases of A&W's, Barks, and Dads, and whatever else you can think of, in those cases, I would want the best experience with those drinks that I could get. So yeah, C. So this would normally be the outro and the part where I kind of, tell you all the like and subscribe and all that stuff. But you've heard it from me and a million other people at this point, right? Um, I usually use the outro too to kind of open up about things going on in my life, and more so, if no other reason, than to explain either delays or problems with the upload schedule, why I'm not doing it every Friday, why I miss a week or something like that. And I usually have different excuses about, uh, work or something like that. And I wanted to take this opportunity to both apologize and hopefully explain why it's been that way, and also sort of give an origin story for the Rippy reviews. So I just wanted to start by saying I am not a particularly confident person. I feel it takes a certain amount of ego to want to be the type of person to put yourself on video and upload it to the rest of the world. But I don't really have that. I want to entertain you, but it's not really something I'm looking for any sort of fame or money or anything like that. I just enjoy knowing people enjoy what I do. Um, when I started my old root beer review blog back in 2014, I was going through a really bad time, through a really bad breakup, and I was looking for creative outlets. And for whatever reason, I'll be honest with you, I think at the time I was working at a grocery store, and they just had a bunch of root beers there. And I just decided to buy a bunch of root beers, and I wrote about them. And that's how the root beer review blog started, back over on Blogger, the one that's linked in every single one of these videos. And over time, I got over that breakup, and I no longer needed that creative outlet, and I abandoned the blog. I think it was about 2 years in, and I stopped. And then eventually, time moves on, and I start seeing someone else. And we were having one of those conversations where you're sort of learning about the other person. And at some point, I mentioned that I used to write a peer review blog, and I don't exactly remember the how or the why of why, but I decided to make a video review. And she was very supportive of this. She looked at it as, like I said, a creative outlet. And so I thought it would be kind of a funny joke just to do it, because I don't even remember if I even said like I was going to make a video. I just might have just done it and sent it to her anyway. And plus, and there's a Rocket Fizz near me. Near me, I say it's like an hour away, but like there's a Rocket Fizz nearby, and I figured, I'd buy like a dozen root beers, and if it becomes a thing, it becomes a thing. But really, I didn't really know if it was going to move past that first video. I thought maybe I would just make that video, make us chuckle, and that would kind of be it. So I uploaded that first review, and like I said, it was almost just kind of like a gag, and I wasn't really even sure if I was gonna make any more. And then I found out that when she was at work, she was watching the videos on repeat, and I think the idea that I could bring joy to her when I couldn't physically be there, And that was a really incredible feeling. And it was nice to know that I could do something to brighten her day when she was at a job that she could barely stand. And she'd get so excited when I'd post a new one. So I just kept posting more and more and more. And as you can see, uh, it just kept on growing, and I kept on buying more root beers. And listen, I have lost more money making these videos than well, I'm not monetized, so I literally make no money doing this, but I have, you know, 150 root beers laying around. So, you can do the math on that one. Um, but I guess the point is love is the thing that made me have the confidence that I needed to sit in front of a camera like this and upload silly soda reviews onto the internet. And also knowing that I was making someone that I loved happy was a reason I kept making these videos. Um, and without saying too much more, and I think you can assume what I mean by this, but you're probably thinking that I'm going to say this is the last root beer review, and it isn't that. Like I said at the start of the outro, I wanted to explain more so why the uploads are inconsistent. It's because I have lost the confidence to sit in front of a camera every week and talk about root beers, and frankly, I just don't have the same reason to keep making them. Um, so I guess I don't want to say this is the last root beer review, because who knows, maybe it'll be like the last breakup, and this will become a creative outlet for me, and I end up posting even more than ever. Who knows? Um, and I'm not really sure, and 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 I figured it was at least good for you to know why, if there's a sudden stop or if there's all of a sudden a flood of them. Either way. So, and that's basically it. And I hope you had a good time.